politics and precious metals, currency and current events, and from Bitcoin to banksters, this is the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. Now, here are your hosts, Tony Arterburn and Kenzie.
From Bitcoin to banksters, currency and current events, politics and precious metals. See, even I jump in after the gunshot, Kenzie.
I know. I felt like you did like a dramatic long pause this time to see if I would come in. I get too anxious.
Every week is a test. It doesn't feel right for you to talk before me. I think that's what sets us apart. Like I don't care, right? I'm all about just throwing a wrench in the matrix, but I understand. I think Kenzie likes structure. She likes order, and I am the chaos she's bringing.
If anybody knows me, you know my life is chaos. There's not. I work on structure every day. I'm still trying.
Well, you do a great job. I like the show notes that you sent me. I think it's going to be a fantastic breakdown of the clown world order, of the clown world economy. It's funny. I study history. I study economics. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be, but nothing makes any sense. And we'll go over the clown economy here in detail. Kenzie sent me a bunch of links for this week, and gold and silver, just massive hits.
Yeah.
Makes no sense whatsoever unless you factor in the fact that they sell off these contracts, and they've got the powers that be, as we talk about every week, have a vested interest in keeping precious metals at bay and not competing directly with the dollar, and of course the sanctions on Russia and Russian gold and all that stuff. So anyway, say hello to the people, Kenzie. I didn't do a good job bringing.
Oh yeah. Hey guys. Hope everybody's having a good day. It's gonna be a hot show. I mean, literally, it's 100 degrees outside. So
that is true. That lends to our temperature, like the degree of how hot the show is outside.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into some headlines and Kenzie's show notes. Let's see. What did you want to cover first? You want to talk about the former crypto advisor?
Yeah. You know what? Let's get into that, because that ties straight into CBDCs.
It absolutely does, and more and more you're hearing that term come up. We're being conditioned to accept the central bank digital currency, and this is CoinDesk. Former crypto advisor Michael Barr confirmed as top U.S. financial watchdog. The Senate approved the appointment of Barr, an ex-Ripple advisor who served in Obama's Treasury Department as the Fed's new vice chair for supervision. So what does this mean?
Well, if anybody is looking at, I don't give investment advice, but most of the people that are into XRP who have been in it for a very long time, it's because you could see those connections that they were having in providing liquidity to central banks, because money moves slow. It moves very, very slow. And this is essentially, you could tie XRP to almost anything that you wanted, I would imagine, if you wanted to tie it to gold, to the dollar, to any asset that is out there. And actually, they could even do break off. I believe they could even do like break off blockchain. So let's say that like this XRP is tied to this gold, or this blockchain is tied, to the dollar. Those kinds of things are possible, but this is more just for liquidity to central banks. Instead of waiting, 24 hours to 7 days, you're executing, moving huge. We're talking billions of dollars in literally seconds, for almost nothing. It cost nothing to move this, just about. And this is interesting too, because most of the people that you will find that have worked closely with Ripple or the XRP ledger, as you can see, this guy's worked under President Barack Obama. That's kind of a big deal. They've had several people that have worked at the Treasury. I forget the lady's name, but the lady's name that we see written on all of our like $100 bills and our dollars, like she's tied to Ripple. And as of right now, Ripple has been shortlisted. So in that the investing.com article that I sent you, Ripple's been shortlisted for its CBDC solution in the G20 challenge. I mean, there's out of 100 participants, 21 teams have been shortlisted. Ripple's been here the longest. They have all of the connections, and it'll be really interesting to see where this goes because, yes, there is still a battle with the SEC. But what do you, I mean, is it the same thing as what's going on with gold and silver right now, Tony? Like, look, the SEC has a problem. The price is so low, go look at this crap coin. Meanwhile, XRP and Ripple is, they're getting things done. They're tied to several central banks now.
Right. And so all this is a boon for people that are holding Ripple, I assume.
I mean, it's definitely some interesting news where almost every day that you wake up and you have another confirmation that this is going to be important in the world. And, I'm not even sure if someone like me will be allowed to use it and move it and trade it, Tony, but I'd like to play both sides of the coin. I don't know what they're going to do with people like me. So again, this is why I'm very diversified. And for those that pay attention, you will have noticed, in XRP, across several exchanges this week, the volume is freaking insane. There is something very weird going on in the background. It's not really changing price much, but what you see going on in the background as far as how much is being moved around, they are either testing something or there might be huge buyers right now. Like, I don't know what's going on, so we'll just need to watch that.
Yeah, well, I understand what you mean by by people like us. I mean, maybe we can do the Wise Wolf Golden Crypto Show from the FEMA camp in
Maybe.
the future. But I was looking
if we
at
get enough credits. Scrub the floors really
I'm
good.
sorry, but you've been associated with Tony Arterburn on the social credit score, so I hope everything works out for you. It's showing that it's trading at 35 cents. And do you remember? I mean, I still hold XRP because it's just for a long time. I haven't paid attention to price, but wasn't it near the 80 cents mark? Wasn't it getting up there?
Probably.
Yeah, I was going to see if I could find anything on.
What was the highest that it ever got? Like
that's
$3
what I
or
was
$4?
Was it? Was it that high?
I think let's go look at the chart. I don't want to be wrong about that, but I have a feeling it was around 3.
Let me see
how long is that chart?
I don't know. This is CoinDesk. Let me see if I can get it to. Doesn't have a. Oh, there's one. All. Let's look at all.
There we go.
And it's $1.35.
I wonder if that's around where it averaged out, because I know some people that spent more. So
went to the wrong exchange.
Wrong exchanges, yeah. I mean, but there wasn't as many. Remember, Tony, there wasn't really as many options back then either, because that was during the Bitcoin boom before our last Bitcoin boom, where everything just went face melting insane.
I remember it well.
Yeah. Yes,
I remember it well. Yeah, that's interesting. And that, of course, that's according to CoinDesk. But I mean, I had bought into like 60 cents, 65 cents, I think, for a client of mine that I was just holding some XRP, and I later turned it back over to him like 6 months later. So I don't know, and I've still got some, but I haven't checked price in a long time. It seems like those inside deals, you have to get people from the industry and key positions, and then how to structure their career and what they do. The same thing happened, I think, in New York, and this was on a Bitcoin documentary years and years ago. One of the first people that was an advocate for Bitcoin had come out of the regulations sector. And so then they were making money as a consultant. So, it's a revolving door, and it's an opportunity for people that are associated with the state to make money and all that. So that's to be expected in this arena, I think.
Yes. And just to clarify, because you made me feel like I was crazy, I did go to CoinMarketCap, and in 2018, it did reach a high of 3.19 cents. So $3.19.
Well, that's why you are the research analyst, and I'm just the talk show host. Okay.
I felt crazy.
I'm the gold and silver guy. So that's good. Good research there. And I'm glad because I mean, but think about that. Think of the and maybe that's because maybe on this chart, was there a fork when XRP came from I mean, it's still called Ripple, but does that change?
No, XRP Ledger has always been the same thing. What ended up happening, I think right after that 2018 spot, or maybe right before, Ripple and XRP did separate themselves somewhat whenever the SEC thing started to go down. And from my understanding, yes, Ripple is a separate entity, and the direction that this goes could be totally bad for us as well. Because what if the SEC decides, okay, this is a security, then Ripple can sell securities to, credited investors, which I'm not going to say that none of us in this chat are qualified, but I sure as heck ain't qualified to be a credited investor. And that would be the major downside. But we see the moves that they are making. They have worked so hard and put so much money into the XRP ledger. Why would Ripple not use that ledger?
Makes sense. Well, anyway, that's interesting news, and I think we'll talk. Well, we're on the subject of crypto. See if I could find that article. This is when I was on the road last. I had to go to the Dallas Gold and Silver trading floor, so I was in Dallas for a few days. And by the way, I had two David Knight listeners contact me while I was in Dallas, and I said, if you want, we can just meet up. I hand delivered gold and silver to them, and I texted David Knight. And I said, hey, I just delivered 850 ounces of silver and 8 ounces of gold to David Knight listeners. And he said,
Oh my God.
He's like, watch out for the police. They'll just take it from you. And I said, you know what? You're probably right. I should. But again, I was pretty careful with it and obviously just transported it from the trading floor. But while I was sitting there in traffic, which is something you do in North Texas now, since I think the motto for North Texas should just be "We're working on it," because they've been working on it for since I was a kid. I thought the roads in Kosovo, in a war-torn country, were better than a lot of the roads where I was from when I was coming out of North Texas. But anyway, I was sitting there in traffic and I saw this article, and I was like, I got to bring this up on the Wise Wolf Show. But this is finbold.com and cryptocurrency news. Bear market wipes 25 cryptocurrency exchanges in 30 days. The ongoing cryptocurrency bear market has impacted several elements of the sector, with exchanges emerging as the latest entities to feel the hit. Indeed, the number of exchanges has dropped as crypto-related businesses struggle to remain afloat amid significant sell-offs.
Mm-hmm.
As of July, the number of crypto exchanges globally stood at 500, a drop from highs recorded in previous months. So at least that's basically an exchange almost a day. Do you think, like I do, Kenzie, that this is going to be a continuing trend as we see more consolidation and more exchanges folding? We still have you?
I'm here.
Oh,
I am now.
Okay. Did you hear my question? Do you think this is going to be a trend moving forward? More exchanges folding as we see more consolidation? And
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. This is the monopoly play. Squeeze everybody else out. So anything that was like organically grown and somebody had a great idea, maybe they're great with tech, there's a chance that they get wiped out easily. Sure. And as far as we've seen with Three Arrows Capital, you still have huge exchanges that could end up coming down because of them loaning out money to what they thought might have been a safe place to give some money to. Well, they filed for bankruptcy and bankruptcy protection, and it's crazy. But this is also a time, let me just throw this out here, because I debated it myself. This is also a time where you could make a ton of money because of what's going on. Now, I did not do this because I can't handle the risk right now. I don't have enough money in my bank account to handle the risk, okay? But Voyager has their own token. Now, Voyager is one of the places that gave money to Three Arrows, Tony. And literally sometime, I think it was last week, the Voyager coin was up 200%. Now, it was pretty hard down because people were scared of their money and their assets. But this is a big boy in the game, right? I don't think that they're going anywhere. And I should have made that play. I saw how low the token was. I saw how much fear there was, but I kept a little bit of money on that exchange. I didn't get scared away necessarily. Maybe that's dumb, but yeah, there could have been some money there. So if you're watching what's going on or you have an idea of what's going on, you can make gut plays. Might not be the best idea, but you can make them.
This is VGX.
Yeah,
This is
VG. I believe that that's the coin. Yeah.
This is on CoinGecko, and it's trading at 42 cents.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunity in here in this sector as things continue to play out. And I was reading something from Robert Kiyosaki, and he says, "Look, get ready for the deals of a lifetime."
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, across the board, I'm seeing more mainstream people saying, "Well, we don't have to have a recession. A recession's not necessary." And I'm going, guys, I'm not just trying to. I don't wish for this. I don't wish for a recession.
Doesn't the data tell us like we're there? The paper data that they provide us.
Well, the reason, even if you take the data aside, because the data is, I mean, you can be interpreted in a million different ways, but the data aside, the Davos crowd, the World Economic Forum, the bankster set, they're all saying that we're going to have this shift and you talk about environmental social governance, the ESG, BlackRock, incentivizing rising energy cost, incentivizing scarcity, they're making it, and they're telling you they're doing it. That's why I'm not a prognosticator. Like I'm not a seer. I'm not a sage. I'm literally just reading what they're saying. They create scarcity for the Great Reset. That's what they do. So I don't know. I mean, these a lot of I saw an article even talking about it was Art Laffer did the Laffer curve. You know, he was Ronald Reagan's advisor in the 80s, and I don't agree with everything Art Laffer has to say, but it's kind of like he was missing the point too about well, the recession. You know, the Fed needs to raise the rates by more than the inflation rate, which would be about 17%. So you're talking about a Paul Volcker style late 70s move to curtail inflation. But the problem is that if you did that in this time frame where America doesn't make much anymore and we all rely on the floating capital, you know, the easy money from the Fed, it's like a drug. I just think you collapse the entire thing. I mean, you can't do what they did in the 70s. We don't have the kind of infrastructure anymore for that.
No, we don't. And you would realize how many jobs are out there that actually aren't that important. But then you'll realize the jobs out there that are really important. So, and you know, I'm literally saying like shout out to all you plumbers and electricians and people that build stuff and keep this country going.
Oh, it's like I was thinking about the unsung heroes, like the FedEx people and the UPS drivers. And like I see, you realize like the commerce that's done through deliveries and things that we have to keep going, like the truck drivers that look at the small trucking people that are getting smashed by this economy. You know, but again, Biden just went over to Saudi Arabia and did the fist bump, and the Washington Post goes, "Oh, he just fist bump the Saudis." They don't care about the other implications, which is why are we going to the Saudis?
Yeah, we don't have to.
Middle Eastern oil is only 24% of world output. Why didn't you fly to Tulsa? Why didn't you fly to Dallas? Go talk to somebody. And again, I know the answer already. I'm asking a rhetorical question. They don't want this country to do well. They don't want the economy back on. That's how I know it's a planned recession. It's a controlled demolition. You would never, no sane country, no sane leader would ever lock a country down, ever. That's never been done before. And they did it for a reason, right? I mean, again, you can believe what you want to believe, but no one's ever locked anything down for any reason whatsoever for long periods of time in sophisticated supply chains, unless there's a purpose behind it, right? Yeah. So I'll just leave you with that. That's how I know there's a recession coming or a depression coming, because they tell you.
Do you think, because it's leaning more and more towards this, and you guys do this in whatever way that you want, and I'll just ask Tony. Typically, I am so anti-cash, but the longer that this goes on, it seems like maybe whatever stockpile of cash people have maybe should be bumped up a little bit. Whatever percentage you want to do or whatever goal you want to hit, that's on you guys. But Tony, how do you feel as we're coming into this, whether it be for emergency or opportunity, because those two things are separate. Your emergency cash and opportunity cash
Sure.
are two separate things, guys.
I'm an advocate. I mean, how as far as like how much? I mean, again, I'm a gold and silver. I mean, that's understood.
Hmm.
The name of the show. You guys understand I'm gold and silver all the way. But cash is great. And here's something that most people don't know. I don't think I've ever talked about this on air. The cash that's all the cash ever made, and we know that the majority is not even in this country. It's outside. But we
Yeah.
talked about that before. But the real number is all the printed US dollars ever only make 8% of the total supply.
Yep.
So you've actually got some scarcity right there, and it may even trade differently at some point,
That's true.
in
That
the
no,
digital.
that is true, because you have to have the hard cash. Like, say that we get the credit freeze that we've talked about before, guys. You have to have the hard cash to keep things going. And whatever you're keeping in the bank, I would say just be ready for that not to be there one day. Because obviously if every American tried to go and pull what they had out of the bank, the money's not there, right? Because we are talking about digits. So it's first come, first serve. The early bird gets the worm. Just keep that in your brains as this moves forward. And I don't say this because, me and Tony laugh all the time. Oh, the dollar's strong. We see articles all the time. Look how strong the dollar is.
Oh.
It's not. It's not. It's the prettiest girl at the ball, and she's still a cow. Okay. So like, this is where we're at, and the cow is gonna go to slaughter at some point, all right? I'm gonna fatten her up a little bit more, and then she's off. Um, I'm only saying this because in crises, or if there is something that you need, there will be opportunities. And yes, I love gold, silver, crypto, maybe a key couple of stock plays. I don't do any of that, but that's on you guys. I only say that because it's on hand, and if the banksters want to do some super funny business right in your opportunity zone, they could hit your crypto, they could hit your gold or silver, and that might last a month or so. It could last as long as they wanted it to. And this comes back to just be diversified, be ready to hit opportunity from any angle.
Yeah, that's true because I think Robert Kiyosaki's right. I think the deals of a lifetime are on the way. That's going to be
Hmm.
in every sector across the board. It's going to be great deals because you can see it. You can see it in real time hitting a peak, where people are just going to be priced out of markets.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be this, like, look at lumber. What's happening? Look at the housing market. You sent me links on the Chinese housing market. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, this one's interesting, isn't it?
It again, just more of this kind of news where we're going. You talk about a contagion from China. This is
There's your
this fallout.
contagion.
Yeah, home buyers in China are boycotting mortgage payments. They're boycotting them, deepening the country's real estate crisis and fueling fears of contagion. Well, how does that help your social credit score if you don't pay
Oh,
your mortgage?
it's so bad that the government had to come and they had an emergent that's what put this on my radar, Tony, is they had an emergency meeting with the banks because of this. And China's had a housing issue, guys. Like, this has been going on. They have one, like, I guess we have one, but their number of people is far larger than ours. And yes, this could spill over into our banking sector, but let's just think for a minute, maybe everything's protected and this doesn't spill over into your banking sector. It doesn't affect you in that way. What happens when enough people hear that Chinese folks, or the people in China, I'm not saying that in a mean way, YouTube, I'm so sorry. The people that live in China, what happens whenever Americans and Europeans and Canadians hear, oh, they're just boycotting their mortgages? Like, couldn't I do the same thing? Um, what kind of spillover does that have?
Yeah, I mean, again, all of this in a global economy is completely connected. That's why what was happening with Shanghai was really important. You talk about
Mhm.
sophisticated nonlinear warfare, in my opinion, where the Chinese are flexing, saying we control these ports. We're going to do a
Mhm.
lockdown. Zero. What is Guard Goldsmith calls it Cowabunga 19? So we'll just call it that since we're on YouTube. Yeah,
One
interesting.
one more thing
Go
about
ahead.
that is the majority of those, quote, unquote, "homes," they're more like apartments or condos. Most of them, Tony, are not done being built, and people are already wrapped into the mortgage, just like here, "Oh, we've got a new cute little picket fence community coming up," and people put their money down, and, what happens if your contractor, the folks putting that together, goes bankrupt before it's done? Like, I think that there's insurance that you could buy to cover that, but if it's on a massive scale, I don't know how quickly you're getting your money back at that point.
Yes, in the article it says former UBS Group AG economist Jonathan Anderson once called it the most important sector in the universe, talking about the Chinese housing market. More than a
Mhm.
decade on, Chinese properties again grabbing the attention of global investors, this time for all the wrong reasons. Well, I mean, there's always going to be signs on the road to economic collapse. And you've talked about a fiat world with fiat reality and fiat leaders, and I mean, eventually you have these setbacks, you have these implosions because it's just they've overbuilt, they've paid for things that shouldn't exist, and that's what happens when you have a printing press, ladies and gents.
Mhm.
You didn't have these booms and busts in the 19th century. That's because in the modern world and the modern economies in the 19th century were all based on a gold standard. And I was reading a book on the history of gold the other day, and it was saying just how constrained all those politicians felt. They just couldn't figure out, and they were trying to figure out any which way to get away from the gold standard. But it was their economies were prosperous, but they wanted to spend a bunch of things and they wanted to move and hide things, but they couldn't because you had to account for it. And I thought,
Mhm.
wow, I say that all the time. And this was like a non-political book. It was just saying, they were just trying to figure out how they could get out of it, and they figured it out. It was called central banking and war, and they finally got what they wanted. Hey, in that same line of logic, before we went live, I clicked on this link in Zero Hedge, but this is kind of, again, it's a signpost, things to come, economic warnings. And it says this year was quiet. This is Zero Hedge. This year was quiet. Aspen mansion market cools. The luxury market appears to be cooling as soaring interest rates, stock market turmoil, elevated inflation, and threats of recession put a damper on demand. We've definitely had the first true off season since COVID, says one of the international real estate agents there. They told Bloomberg over the last 2 years, it was busy through May and June. This year, it was quiet. So
Hmm.
even in the poor luxury market, but the luxury luxury goods, the jet set have had to park their jets, and I'm sure they'll be flying to the next global warming conference soon. But any thoughts on that? I mean, in your opinion, is that usually the first things to go, or some of the luxury goods, or is that usually it's the next article I have, and we'll get to that in a second. But is that it? What are you thinking?
It's levels to that stuff because it's people the we see luxury, but it's the people that are still living under the guise of being able to have that quote unquote luxurious lifestyle because the mega 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 rich are still buying real estate and at astronomical prices, but they're gonna hold on to it and can hold on to it no matter what. You've also but under that, is the people that are still using a massive amount of debt just so they can go play select golf courses and act like they're the bee's knees when, they might not be the bee's knees yet. Maybe they should have had um, a lifestyle that fit their income a little bit better, right? So I'm keeping an eye on it. Do you ever watch? This is random, but I was looking at some real estate the other day because the Little People show, the Little People Big World, their farm is still for sale, the roll-off farm, and it's like $4 million. It's just I think it was 4 million. It's just outside of Portland, Oregon, and honestly, the price is lower than I would have expected it to be, but it's still for sale. It's not like it's been on the market forever, but I mean, for what it is, it actually kind of seems like a decent deal if you're gonna turn it into a farm and keep it as a farm. I don't know.
Interesting. I don't think we've seen the kind of price reductions. Like I don't, the two realities haven't met each other yet. But this is
Yeah.
something to grab my. This was a link on Drudge, um, and you saw there like I didn't send you a pizza article. This was the Daily Mail pizza night, and it has a question mark. Is it canceled? Families across the U.S. reveal how surging inflation is forcing them to cut back on everything from summer camps and softball tournaments to takeout coffees, and most expect the pain to drag out until 2023. So,
Ouch.
again, they list all-American activities like traveling for softball matches and family outings to pizza parlors are being nixed. Gas guzzlers are sitting idle in driveways across the country because households cannot afford to fill their tanks. More than 3/4 of Americans believe they will be tightening their belts until at least the end of the year. Well, I think that's a sentiment going on everywhere.
Yeah.
In normal people, I mean, that don't have access to the central bank and the printing press. Normal folks, we're seeing costs rise everywhere. People are getting hit. People that have been diligent savers, and you just get angry over this, like people that have been doing the right thing and putting their money in savings or buying gold and silver and buying stocks, all that's getting hit and wiped out, and that's why I would advise everybody to hold your gold and silver, even though I'm a gold and silver buyer. So I'm telling you not to sell to me if you can help it. If you can hold it as long, because it's not a good time. And
If you can
especially,
help it, hold it.
yeah, if you can do it. Because what's especially clown about all this, and I hate it for people, is that I know that the supply chain for gold and silver is limited. I know how fragile it is. They just went again. I was down in Dallas at the trading floor. We went from being able to walk up and set an appointment and pay for 1 ounce silver rounds and pick them up the next day to now it's a 3-week delay again.
If we had, let me just add this because it's theoretical. If we had a bit of a credit freeze or a credit lockup before gold hit better prices, that would therefore automatically mean that there's going to be less gold coming out of the ground because you will have a ton of bankruptcies and miners. But on top of that, you're not going to be able to get the loans or credit needed to go and explore a new zone for a while. I don't know. Like maybe the banks go, this is an acceptable risk because of what can come from it, but it's still so risky that I don't know, because that's another business where still, guys, they work off of debt and you've got to be able to pay that debt. The bank wants that. And if they're not lending to anybody, we're not pulling much gold out either.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a twisted reality right now, folks. And I would just say if you can, I think cutting expenses is a good idea. I think really looking, and I have to do the same thing, even with my marketing and stuff that I'm doing for Wise Wolf, I'm just being really careful right now because there's going to be, I think, bumpy road ahead. I'm just saying anything I can do to expand and invest in my own things I'm doing, but I'm just real limited. I'm with Kenzie too, because we're both looking at the crypto markets every single day. We're looking at precious metals markets every single day. And I haven't really heavily
I'm
done
looking
anything.
at real estate, but only real estate in Arkansas. But there's very dramatic price drops going on. And we are talking about in the, I'm literally talking about 500,000 through 2, 3, 4, 5, $6 million properties. And there's huge cuts in these areas. And Arkansas might get hit pretty freaking hard because there's not a whole lot of people out here that can afford that kind of thing. I've also noticed, Tony, a ton of apartments coming up for sale, apartment complexes, and I was actually looking at an like assisted living spot or something like that, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So
Hmm.
there's some interesting stuff coming up for sale. Very interesting.
And we're just at the beginning. I mean,
Yes.
you go 24 months into a down market.
There's like
which I've seen.
historical stuff going up for sale in Fayetteville, right outside of the Razorback Stadium. And it just looks like, are less people in that area? Are people not traveling to that area? Because it is a destination point, but you got to wonder, why would you let go of something that you've had for so long? And it's got to be a debt issue.
All right. I want to bring up kind of a break. Let's cleanse the palate with a little just
Oh, you like this,
silliness.
huh?
I want to talk about the ice cream truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the music. I didn't turn it down all the way. I don't know. Is that
Okay.
okay?
I mean, it's literally just a couple of seconds, and if anything, YouTube will probably put a claim on it, but not a strike on it.
Okay.
That's kind of luck I used to have.
Okay. So this is Instagram, and just for the podcast audience, Kenzie said I had to look at this and see if this was real, but it's Instagram. I'm
Oh, it's
somewhere.
real.
What country is this out of? Is it us? Is it just Spanish speaking? Do you know? Did we lose Kenzie?
Did we lose me or Tony?
I've got you. Oh well, maybe the NSA is finally jammed the signal. What? Can you hear me, Kenzie?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what country is this out of?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it's probably here in the US. I
That's
didn't
what I
look at
thought.
that. I've read like 2 articles on it, and I don't know where it
I mean,
is.
it's written in English. Okay, so what this is, folks, is there's an ice cream truck, and it has the Monopoly man on a stick, and it says "Eat the rich popsicles," but I just thought because it had like I don't know. Well, you guys are hear the music. I thought it might have been somewhere south, but it's probably here. So you can have a bite of Jeff Bezos. What is that? Elon Musk, a Munchie Musk.
Elon Musk, Jack Ma, Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. That's what they got.
Let's watch the video. So you get your Jeff Bezos popsicle. There it is. Get your Elon Musk. What is that? Is that Bill Gates?
Yeah, they got them all.
All right, that has to be an American thing. Yeah.
I don't know. It's hilarious though, because I've read a couple of articles on this now, and the people that go and buy them, they just really feel like they're winning in life because they hate capitalism. But what did you just pay $4 to eat a Jeff Bezos popsicle? Like, I want to shake the guy's hand that owns the truck because he knows what he's doing, and I love it.
If I'm fortunate enough to, go into the afterlife and I can get into heaven, and I'll ask God because I won't be able to do it on this plane of existence because the mind control is too strong. But I'd like to debrief the communists and the people that are Marxists and just ask them, like, do you realize the entire time that your movement was funded by the world's richest people? I've always been baffled by that. I mean, you can't do it now because you see, like I saw this picture the other day, and it was just like laptop. It was an iMac, or it was an Apple laptop, and it said, cap down with capitalism. And this girl sitting there with like a $20 Starbucks drink and an iPhone. And
yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that picture.
I wonder if
like
she
sitting in the airport.
It's like an $8 popsicle, so you can consume a frozen Jeff Bezos. Yeah, it's great. Big sugar. You're buying into big sugar, right? big food, all that. All right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it's always always fun. And the last 10 minutes of the show or 15 minutes of the show, if you guys want to put questions into the chat, Kenzie and I will be happy to take them.
Yeah. Will you pull up that article on The Guardian for JP Morgan Chase?
Yeah, you got it. All right.
They're getting into protection mode.
JP Morgan Chase sets aside funds to cover feared loan losses. Largest U.S. bank saw net income fall 28% from April to June and is concerned about economy and geopolitical tensions.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those. Okay, I'll let you do your analyzing on this in a second. But I another one of the links here was Jamie Dimon. A month ago we talked about this on the show and how he was saying there's going to be an economic superstorm and something we've never seen. And I just said, does anybody have any reference in history where the big banks, and this is the largest bank in America, were warning people? Because that's not something they ever do. They cheerlead. They say everything's fine. I mean, part of the FDR, the banking holiday and everything he did when he took over as president in 1933 was to, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Because psychologically, people, when they fear there's something wrong, there's a run on the banks.
Mm-hmm.
They go withdraw. So why would they add to this? If they were doing anything, why wouldn't they do something in secret? What do you think?
It's a really good question. I think it's more of like a whenever all this comes to pass, it'll be like a see, I told you so. So
Mhm.
if they need help from the government, or instead of a bailout, they do a bail in, they can say, oh, well, we warned you. We told you. And this is just so interesting to me because the loan losses aren't even like they're not that huge yet, Tony. So they're getting ready for what they see is coming. And who knows how awesome the freaking data is that they have on AI and being able to read what people will be able to do in the next month or two or year. Um, and I don't mean to say awesome, I'm just saying it's probably incredibly sophisticated and knows that you're not gonna be able to make your car payment in, like, 3 months, it'll know. Um, and maybe they're just getting ready for that, so that's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, that's again, I don't see any example in history where anything like this has been done. So that concerns
No.
me. And it's another reason why when I see these economists come on, and I know that every network they have their cheerleading squad, especially the financial networks, because I've seen this show before. I've seen this movie before. It confused me when I was in my late 20s. It doesn't confuse me anymore because I remember going, wait a minute, things aren't great. Why are they saying that they are? It's because they have a vested interest in continuing to keep the doors open of the casino as long as possible. And something I've never seen is the biggest bank in America saying there's problems
Yeah.
because they have depositors. Now think about this. The FDIC can't cover everything. It's a fraction of a fraction that they could actually cover for deposits. You're talking
Mhm.
about covered up to 250,000 per person. There's a little known fact. 60 Minutes did a show right after the Great Recession kicked in, and this is 08, 09. And I remember watching this in 2010. They would have teams of people from the FDIC that would take over banks that were about to fail. And what they would do is they would get the keys from the people at the end of the shift, and they would have the same uniforms, and a team of FDIC people would take over that bank. So you would never know that your bank has been seized by the FDIC. Okay. The reason they did that was because they didn't want to cause a panic. So I ask everyone in the chat, anywhere hearing my
Mhm.
voice, why would they do this? This is unprecedented. A bank, this isn't just about investments. They are are they the largest holder of deposits in the country? If they're also the largest bank, they have to be.
I would say so.
Right.
And
So,
that's the serious money. That's like
right.
there's some really serious money tied to
So
JP
I'm saying,
Morgan
like,
Chase.
if they would go, they're playing like Mission Impossible taking over banks in 2010, you know, like with like different name tags, but same uniforms, like just to make sure that there's no disruption in your banking. So you don't think anything's wrong, but they literally had to take over banks all over the country.
Mhm.
They weren't, they were just about to go completely under. And that was to not cause panic. So what is this? I'm asking. I mean, because I'm still confused by it, and maybe I'm not confused. Maybe I'm asking rhetorically because I kind of get it. I kind of get
Yeah.
they're calling the shots. They're steering this because you realize that the Empire State Building was built in the height of the Depression. I read a biography on the Empire State Building, if you can believe that, back in like the mid 2000s. I like real estate like you. I used to have a real estate company. I don't buy much real estate anymore, but I like the aspect of it, especially learning stuff like air rights and stuff. That's really
Yeah.
cool. But they built the Empire State Building at the height of the Great Depression. I mean, FDR had just taken office, and they're building this. I mean, we still think of that as, a testament to American,
Mhm.
greatness and can-do spirit and wealth and everything. But that wasn't, there's fortunes to be made at the bottom. It's hard to do. Like the average middle class person does okay when they've got their 401k and their IRAs and they're all tied to the market. But um, I don't know. I think there's when you hit a bottom and people start selling off, there's just more consolidation. And you've
Yes.
seen that in the housing market. That's what I'm concerned with.
Yes. There's just be ready for anything, guys, because we know that the big banks they're going to be able to take that, they have opportunity and they're going to use your money for that too. Like, it's not all on them. They're going to take your money and put it somewhere just so you can forever be a renter or forever in debt, whatever it might be. I mean, it's just craziness. And to throw out there too, just because I'm thinking about it, and a meme made me think about it. Um, if you have younger kids, and I don't know what most of you guys consider young, but kids that you would think should be living on their own, please have an understanding that it is near impossible. Every other country in the world, you have entire families, 3 generations of people living under the same household. And it's not a terrible thing. In the US, we look at this like it's a terrible thing and oh, these dirty people all living on top of one another. It's not like that. All right. And we should be more willing to do that ourselves. So you can keep real estate under your family name. You can keep things moving. But also, like, I'm sorry, but this is not the economy that you guys grew up in. It's not the economy my grandparents had. Like, they don't understand why my little sisters struggle so hard. And they have pretty good jobs. Like they and they're still struggling. Um, so yeah, I
Well,
mean,
yeah,
if
it's
you can help
normalcy
it.
bias, and that comes
Yeah.
previous generations. They have a fixed number in their head of what things cost,
Why
and then
isn't your home $40,000?
it's because right. It's like the dollar slowly, it's like a frog getting boiled, and then they slowly lose value, and they can't see it, unless you study this every day. Even I lose track of that. I'm like, wait a minute, because you fill up your tank, or you're buying groceries, or you go out to eat, or you're buying like they was showing the commercial with Trump and it was Ivana, his first wife, and they did a Pizza Hut commercial, and watched it. This is back in like 1995, and they open the box, and then it shows Pizza Hut large pizza $9.99. I'm like, see, it's a different world. You're
Yeah.
talking. It means prices have more than doubled. So yeah, just things that they're not when you live in a fiat system, there's nothing fixed. It's
Mhm.
always transitioning, always transitory. I mean, think about the people that lived in the Western world in the 19th century into the earliest 20th century. I mean, if you just saved $1, you still had $1. 50 years later, you're still at $1. But you don't
Mhm.
have that anymore. There was actually deflation in the 19th century because of the gold standard. It was worth more. It was harder to find.
Yeah,
So
and we're gonna have like that weird section where everything that you need in life is probably gonna continue to go up in price, whereas things that you really don't need, like there's gonna be an abundance of, and we could see deflation just because of the abundance of stuff that still hasn't made it off of all of these containers and things, and
yeah,
it's just crazy.
I think you're right. I wanted to also bring up the Rockfin chat, and to anybody watching us on any platform, we see your comments, but we always fall back to the America Unplugged channel on Rockfin just for censorship and everything else in this technocratic age. But I wanted to say thank you to Rhonda Tate. She left us $5, and that's just very generous. Anytime there's a donation on any of these channels, we put it right back into the show. So I really appreciate that. And then Harps in the chat on Rockfin says, I guess in relation to what I was talking about with JP Morgan signaling and everything else, that there's going to be some downturn. He says this is to take what people don't fully own yet, Tony. So
Mm-hmm.
just another example of consolidation of ownership and pricing people out of the markets. And I think this is more sophisticated, than just random. It's not random.
Oh, definitely not random.
All right, we got about 5 or 8 minutes left if folks want to send questions into the chat. And I know you and I had a couple of more articles. I mean, we didn't go over here's
The strong dollar?
I need like a little intro with like I need the circus music, like dum, 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 dum. I need that. I need like the little clowns
I'll go
coming
pull
out.
it off of like TikTok for you and get it all set up. You can just cue it. Cue the circus music.
I need cue the circus people, and that's what this is. And then every time I talk to Kenzie, I'm just looking at silver this week. It just got smashed. Anyway, gold, silver pounded by strong U.S. dollar, rising bond yields, and lower oil. Gold and silver prices are solidly down in midday U.S. trading Thursday. This is from last week. Gold scored an 11-month low and silver a 2-year low. Rising U.S. Treasury bond yields, a strong U.S. dollar index, and falling crude prices are bearish elements working against the metals market.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, have we seen an impact of a falling crude market and the gasoline prices? I haven't.
Not huge.
Used
Not
to.
not anything super significant yet, you know.
Yeah, and people ask me all the time, like, what does this mean? I mean, I have people that have, rolled over their 401ks and IRAs into physical metals, and I'm like, just hold, because they can't do this forever.
Mhm.
And I'm going on the record. This is not natural. Like the prices for gold and silver. So this is a double-edged sword. There's two things that I take away from this. One, it's on purpose, and two, they can't do it forever.
Nope.
Right. And I guess if you want to add a third thing, it's probably an opportunity.
Yep.
I mean, because which one is worse? Which conversation is worse? Hey, Kenzie, gold's at $4,000 an ounce. I wish I would have bought. Or I bought some gold at $1,850 and now it's down. Which one's worse?
Yeah.
That's a great question. And the same thing with silver. Like silver's at $70 an ounce. Silver's been at $50 twice. We talk about this all the time, but it's good to look at history. 1980 and 2010 or 11. I think it's 2011. $50. Think about the 1980 number though. That's like $160 now, or $200 now. If you adjust for purchasing power loss and inflation. So I just think we got nowhere to go but up. They need all this stuff. They need the metals. I'd love to get somebody on that was to talk to us that's more geopolitically minded when it comes to things like Russia, because I know Russia has these gold reserves, and like we talked about this previously about how their gold reserves are more strategic and secret than their nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
And they've been building up these gold reserves for years and years, and now there's like this, Janet Yellen and others have talked about trying to stop Russian gold on the market. First of all, you can't track gold.
Yeah, you're not tracking
is-
that. You're not stopping that.
Gold-
And this is because they've kept it within their own country. Think about, is it Venezuela that's still trying to get their gold out of London?
Yeah.
And they're not going to get it.
There's several countries.
Yeah, there are several. Argentina might be one of them as well. I would need to double check that, but yeah, London's not going to give them their gold. It's not happening. So even when you're that big, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. It's not yours.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a nightmare to look at especially somebody like that's kind of midway in wealth, and you think, man, I can't get my gold out. The countries, that's kind of on them, but there's people, you trust the storage unit that you're with, the storage place. And I trust the people that I'm with, and I've talked even people I'll recommend. If you call me, I'll recommend. We've had Goldcore CEO on, and sound like a good people. I think they have a good track record, but I use, the trading floor in Dallas, and they have a IDS and a couple of other money metals, some other places. I think those are good. But, these exchanges, hell no. I don't trust them. The Shanghai exchange, the London exchange. We read last week, we talked about the manipulation from the insiders talking about how they've been doing it since the 80s, and I don't know.
And it was literally to keep you away from it. That's literally why they've done it. And that's an insider saying that. And another thing to really look at right now is the circus show of the bond markets. So it really is like you've got a ticket to the circus if you've been watching that. And at any moment, like a fire is going to erupt and the old timey circus tent, and everybody won't be able to get out. So it doesn't look good. That's when everything else falls apart. I mean,
yeah, I'm with you.
I can't explain it the best, but y'all know that everything is run on debt right now. And when this debt bubble goes, everything goes.
Yeah, I feel like we're on the crew of the Titanic, and we just see them coming towards the iceberg. No, and they just
and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's just slow motion, and we'll do our best to bring you the best breakdown that we can here weekly on the Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show. And I appreciate all the interaction on chat. We had a lot of folks over on Rockfin. Jim Garrison says, "Great show, Tony and Fringe," and I appreciate you. Wolfman Jack.
Did he spell it like great, or are you just
Great.
saying it like
No,
what is
it's
it, Frosted
GR8.
Flakes?
GR8. I did that, just in case I was needed to do a Tony Tiger impression.
There you go.
You never know. But lots of great feedback on the chat there in Rockfin. I always appreciate you guys. Remember, 3 p.m. Central Time. That's when Wise Wolf shuts down for the week, and Kinsey and I have gone back and forth. She secretly is just so annoyed with me because she's like, I can't with you anymore. With you, what times you want to do shows? I'm like, just do it when I'm closed. It's the last day of the week. I'm off on Sunday, so 3 p.m. when I'm completely worn out, we do the Wise Wolf Gold Crypto Show. But I appreciate everybody. We'll have, I think maybe next week we'll do some calls. If you guys want to open up the phone lines, maybe we'll do calls. We can always do that. If you guys think of anything in between, you can always reach out through the website at wisewolf.gold, or you can go to our Twitter.
Twitter,
at Wise Wolf Gold. Basically, anything that's at Wise Wolf Gold is me. It's Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. If you have questions you want us to bring up on the show, or something if you have a coin you want us to look at or talk about, we're happy to do it. So my advice is not financial advice, it's protection advice. And stay frosty, ladies and gentlemen. But I'll let you have the final thought, Kenzie. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have anything extra to say or want us to see anything, just shoot it over at Wise Wolf Gold or Fringe News. Either one works fine. But if it is, related to this podcast, at Wise Wolf Gold would be great. Just to keep it organized. And yeah, hopefully here soon, Tony, I'll have my own little show over here on Rockfin, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, Fringe
Hopefully
News
here
on Rockfin. Are we still thinking Thursdays?
I'm still thinking Thursdays, if that works for the people. If the people are okay with me taking up some of your time on a Thursday, I'd love to.
I think what's going to make the huge difference is, are they going to be talking to your avatar? Or are they going to see you like you used to do, back in the heyday?
No, I have got my layout set up to where you'll be able to see me. You'll be able to see me.
Well, this is a funny story because I originally told her, like, let's do a podcast and it'll just be, we'll just pre-record it, and then it turned into, we like talking to the audience, so we ended up doing it live. And then it's just, she's always an avatar, and now I get to talk to the image of Aura, her dog. So I'm actually kind of like that. But I know the people, if you're going to put it to a vote, they want to see you. They want to interact with your real presence, and I know that'll be something very much valued on the America Unplugged channel on Rockfin.
All right, cool.
All right, folks. Well, we'll be back next week, 3 p.m. Central Time. Follow us anywhere podcasts are found, because sometimes interviews go up there that we don't do live. Okay, so anywhere Wise Wolf Gold and Crypto Show is found. In a world of fiat reality, the truth is solid gold. See you next time.